Hello everybody, this is Phreak bringing you an audio commentary from WCR It is copyrighted, so don't go stealing it. Anyways, today's matchup of choice is Elf vs. Human. I guess as this audio goes on, you'll find out whether it's one or two games. Actually, you probably already know, because it was sort of part of the audio comments in the first place. However, I don't know yet, so it's a surprise to me. Yeah, it'll be exciting as it unravels. So the first game we're going to go over is from Code 5. It is a Night Elf vs. Human matchup, Deadman vs. Todd, Game 1 on Twisted Meadows. Unfortunately, you're going to see a lot of annoying WOG TV chat because it was downloaded off of WOG TV, not my own fault. Additionally, I turn off OBS chat and crap when I'm watching the replay, so yeah, unfortunately. However, we're going to go from Deadman's point of view at the 1 minute mark, and I will let you know more as we get there. While you're syncing up, I will go over the matchup a little bit, specifically the maps, and really, I think Elf vs. Human is really, I think it's both the most balanced and the most interesting matchup. Sure, that's biased, because I play Elf, and maybe it's actually Elf-sided, but I'm saying it's balanced. But the point is, really, I think this matchup is very interesting, it's very fair, and the one thing is, it's very map-based. Like, I mean, Human plays about standard every single time. It's whether they fast expand or not. Depends on what the map is. And yeah, the creep pattern, sure. But the Elf has to play radically different depending on what map you're on. And I think that's pretty interesting because it sort of shows... I don't know, it's just kind of interesting because Elf plays different based on the map in order to counteract what the human's doing. So it depends on map. As a quick anecdote to my thoughts on Warcraft in general, I know it's a little superfluous and it's not really necessary, but my thoughts on matchups in general is whoever is winning, like whoever has the advantage in the matchup, is the race that's like in the driver's seat. It's the race that says, you know, oh, it's Elf vs. Undead, or it's Elf vs. Orc, or it's, you know, whatever matchup. It's the race that gets to make the choices. It's say, you know, I could mass Destros, or I could mass Fiends, or I could mass Cogs, or I could do this, or that, or the other thing, and they all work. But your opponent has to say, oh crap, he's going Destros, I have to make these units. Oh crap, he's going Fiends, I gotta switch here. Oh crap, you know. And, you know, similarly, you could have a human say, well, I'm gonna fast expand. Oh, well, you know, he has to counteract what you're doing. And now, yes, an Elf could say, well, I'm gonna dual Rax mass Hunts, but, I mean, theoretically that could put you in the driver's seat. But, I mean, my whole point with that, with the concept, is that you can choose any one of these things, and they're all actually good. Like, for example, Elf vs. Orc, I could mass Tier 2, I could mass Strides, I could mass Dots, I could rush to Bears. You know, there are multiple different things that all work well, and a lot of them require a very different play style. You know, mass Dots requires you to get Spirit Walkers, mass Bears requires you to get Kodos, and, you know, usually do an Ensnare push at Tier 2, where you sort of show up at their base, kill their lords so they don't have master training, expand, come back later, repeat the process. You know, you're requiring Orc to do something. Now, I'm not saying Elf vs. Orc obviously is an Elf-sided matchup, and anything I say about, oh, imbalance, this race is better than Elf, is obviously a little bit hyperbolic. I realize I'm talking fast. Yeah, I just caught that. But, you know, at the same time, you know, everything I say is just slightly Elf-biased, but at the same token, I don't think Orc is really that bad off against Elf as some may think. Completely irrelevant to this matchup, so let's move on. That's, you know, something I was planning on doing in one of the audios, and there it's out there. Anyway, Elf vs. Human depends on the map. Twisted Meadows is one of the Elf-biased maps. They're putting it out there. This is an Elf-biased map, which is part of why Deadman wins. He also gets lucky a couple times. Anyway, we'll see. The way Twisted Meadows goes out, there's about 3 different things you can do early on. There are some variations you can do, but the 3 main things are DH Hunts, DH Archer, or DH Archer with the AUW creeping. If you do the AUW creeping, it is possible to get tower rushed. Anytime you don't have the AUW in your base and you go DH, you can get tower rushed. Anytime you go Dark Ranger, you really can't. Anytime the AUW is in your base, you generally can't, unless it's close spawn T-Rock. But if your AUW is not defending your base, especially if it's uprooted and creeping when they show up, you're in bad shape. So, also, if they get a good spawn, like, for example, you see where Deadman spawn, if Tauto's in bottom right, that'd be an excellent tower rush spot because they'd run right across your Ancient No More and say, "Loss up, you're owned." Anyway, however, the safest one is AOW in base, but probably the most effective one, regardless of spawn, is a Huntress build because Huntresses are very good at harassing, and we're gonna continue on that point after we unpause. So let's go ahead and unpause this 1 minute mark, 1x speed, Deadman's POV, Fog of War on. Unpause in 3, 2, 1, unpause. Now, some things to know about Elfersumen.
Your building.
You do eventually want bears.
Your building.
Drides are good for a while. They're very good units. They cost very little gold, and they have a lot of abilities. They're magic immune. They can dispel shit. They have pretty low HP, but they also have slow poison. So I mean, if you micro well, you are golden, because Human doesn't have a staff till tier 3, and yeah, they can cast Invis, but I mean, there's no counter to a staff aside from Ensnare. You can at least cast Dust if they use Invis. So yeah, I complain Human has a staff and Invis, but there is a counter. I mean, I'm trying not to be super like LOL imba about the matchups, but I mean, you know, there is a counter to Invis, so you know, whatever in there. In this case, though, you see that Deadman is actually doing the safe build of going archers, and he's doing the pretty typical archer build in that you actually get one on lumber and then you go and build the Ancient of War. You could build it sooner, which will get you your first archer faster, but the second one you're still gonna have to wait for the moonwall, and because you're soaking up this worker building the AOW, you don't have the lumber for that second moonwall quite as fast. And I mean, yeah, you get your first archer faster, but the second one's the important one, because that's what you're gonna need to stop if they decide to a tower rush. Now, what we see Todd doing here is he's going for his green camps. You see he sends out the militia and a water elemental right away to the first easy green camp. And yeah, Deadman could go screw with him. He could, for example, camp a water elemental right around, you know, this area, put it on a tree, wait 20 seconds, go detonate the WE at a perfect time, and the militia will take damage. Really all he's trying to do right now, though, is delay. He's like, oh, okay, yeah, his Archmage and Foots are creeping one camp, but I can't really stop that. You can't stop a human from creeping a green camp. Come on now. You know, that's something that only Undead with a Death Knight can do, is stop you from creeping a green camp. I mean, so in all honesty, you don't accomplish all that much necessarily by going to creep jack something this trivial. Now you notice that he sent that Wisp over to the lab earlier on because he might have done the militia creep on the lab. He didn't, but you know, that's a possibility that you can see some humans do. Additionally, they can also go militia creep their orange camp at the bottom, or you know, just below their base. That's something you can do if you actually get good spawns. As you notice, Deadman got the closest spawn to that orange camp, which means it's really freaking hard, because they can dead your first WE, mana burn you, and you're stuck at almost level 2 with no mana. And yeah, you can creep the green out really easily, but if he takes one creep, you're pretty screwed for getting level 2. Yeah, if he takes only one of those purge creeps, you can still get it. I'm just saying, it's difficult when the D8 shows up when your Archmage does. You know, that's something that's usually pretty hard to creep out. So you see all Deadman's doing right now, he's saying, I don't want you to get level 2. You can creep 2 green camps, and that's fine. But you notice these archers rallying around. They went to the green and then to the orange. I think that was actually a conscious choice. Notice this Wisp was going out to the other green camp, making sure whether he's creeping it or not. And if he is, in fact, well, he is, or did, I should say. So that means this bottom right green is going to give Todd level 2. Notice that Todd did take a break. If you turn off Fog of War real quick, he grabbed Dust and Boots. That's important, because that means that the archers show up to creepjack you, you right-click the archer, chase